Hi, I'm Ron. Thanks for checking this out. Today we're going to look at my song Sunflower from the album Morning Star, Evening Star and try out some of the tonguing techniques that I use to add some subtle variety and interest to the track. But before we do that, some updates. Very first, I want to say a big thank you to Sarah Jeffrey from Team Recorder. If you saw my last video, you know that Sarah and I had a Zoom conversation about native flutes. I really appreciated her thoughtfulness and sincerity and her approach to learning about our flutes. And of course, she is such a great recorder player. She started picking things up very quickly. Sarah recorded our Zoom conversation and edited it and has posted it on her channel. So I'll provide a link, or you can go to Team Recorder and look for this thumbnail and check it out. We had a really good time, and I think you'll enjoy watching it. Also, last time I asked if you guys might be interested in having me start a live stream, and I want to say thank you to all of you who posted little moon emojis to say yes. So I have some logistics and tech to get figured out, but I'm going to do that, and I'm kind of planning at this point on Thursday evening, June 12th, being our first live stream together. So stay tuned and I'll keep you posted as that develops. Okay, I have my Colyn Petersen flute in A that I use for all these videos. You can grab your favorite flute in A and we can try out some tonguing things together. By the way, those of you who have joined the email list at my website receive a newsletter every month. And in the last newsletter, you received a code for a free download from the shop at my website. That download package included an MP3 of this very track, Sunflower, that we're looking at today. You also received the song notated in Nakai Tab and in concert pitch. Now, concert pitch just means the notes as they actually sounded on the track. And I used a flute in A for this track. So, you know, if you ever want to play along with the track, you can just use a flute in A and it should match up really well. I have also made a little ArtVid of this track that should be posting here on my channel about the same time this video does. So you can look for this thumbnail. Also, at the end of this video, I'll put a link to my ArtVid playlist, which is where that song will be living. Now, you don't need to read notation of any kind to try out the tonguing things we're working on today. But later on, we will look at a Nakai Tab version of the song that I made, and those of you who read Tab can see how these techniques might be notated. If you don't read Tab, don't worry about it. You can just skip that part or follow along for the fun of it. Now, the song we're looking at today is called Sunflower, and as I mentioned before, it's from my 2-album project, Morning Star, Evening Star. You can hear that entire project on any of the usual streaming sites, including here at YouTube Music. I've also made an ArtVid of Sunflower, just that track, that should be posting on my channel about the same time this does, so you have a lot of options for checking this out. Sunflower begins with a very simple gesture that then gets repeated throughout the song with tonguing variations, and it works like this. We'll just start at the top of beginner mode or basic scale, and all we're going to do is walk all the way down to what I call fingering 2, almost to the bottom, just one note after the other. I'm going to do it very slowly right now and tongue each note. Right now in the actual song, only the first note is tongued. So I'm still going to go slow, but I'm only going to tongue the first note. All right, so the difference is subtle, but I hope you can hear it. Now, in the actual song, the gesture is actually much quicker. Now, we're going to get in for a close-up here, and what I'd like for you to notice, we've talked about this before, that to play a faster gesture, it helps if your fingers don't have to move too much. So what I want you to notice is that I'm going to hold my fingers only enough above the flute to vent the holes, and then they won't have very far at all to travel. All right, so this is what we're after. one more time. Now, if you want, you can hit the pause button and try that yourself for a while. And if you want to, you can start slow, just like I did, and then build up some speed. That's all there is to the first version of the gesture. Now, in version 2, we're going to go right down that mode again very, very quickly, but this time we're going to tongue each note. Now, this is going fast enough that I find it easier to use double tonguing to do this. So you can either think t, k, t, k, t, or you can think d, g, d, g, d, whichever works a little bit more easily for you. So the idea is that the first note will be a t with just the tip of the front of the tongue. Next note is a k at the back of the tongue, t, k, t, all the way down. You can try it slowly at first until you feel like your tongue and your fingers are starting to get a little coordinated. It might sound like this. Oops, let's try that again. And then eventually you can bring it up to speed. This is what we're after. Right, again, if you want to hit pause and try that out, great. Or you can save it for later, whatever you want to do. There's one more version of this gesture in the song, and for this, we're going to use flutter tongue starting at the top and keep the flutter tongue going all the way until we hit the bottom note, and it will just be sustained. It sounds like this. Right now, there are a couple of ways that you can do flutter tongue. You can either use the tip of your tongue like this, kind of that rolled R kind of sound. I actually find it easier to control on Native Flute if I do it back in my throat. It's almost like I'm gargling. Of course, I'm not vocalizing while I'm doing this. It's just to help you hear it. All right, so here's that gesture one more time. Okay, now I'm going to do all three of those versions back to back to back so that you can hear the subtle differences between them. Here we go. Yeah, that was really sloppy. I'm going to try that again. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is look at the tab notation for this song so that you can see what it looks like to write these techniques down so that other people can reproduce them. Again, if you're not interested in notation, you can skip over that part or just tag along for fun. And then I'm going to do a complete playthrough of the song so that you can hear the variations of this gesture in the context of the full song. Here's the Nakai Tab I made for this song. Now, I'm currently preparing digital download songbooks that will include both the concert notation and the Nakai Tab for all 35 songs in the Morning Star, Evening Star project. The first volume of 22 songs, which will include this track, Sunflower, should be ready sometime in June. Now, for all the songs in this project, I made a very, very basic notation decision. I decided not to try to transcribe every single sound I made on the track. I thought that would be confusing, visually unappealing. What I tried to do instead was to give you the basic material from the song in some kind of visual form that you could learn the song and then make it your own. I never play any of them the same way twice, so I don't see why anybody else should. Now, another time we might get into more of the details of Nakai Tab, but as you can see, it's largely based on Euroclassical notation. So those of you who read Euroclassical notation will find this pretty familiar looking. All right, now, here is our opening gesture of going down basic scale. And this little curved line up here is an indication that the first note in that gesture should be tongued, and the rest of them should be not tongued. When you see just individual notes with no slurs at all, that means tongue each of those notes. When you see a curved line slur connecting notes, it means only the first of that group should be tongued, and that is consistent throughout. This gesture ends with a long note, and that's shown here with a tie. So these little curves mean slightly different things. Tongue the first note and then don't tongue the rest. This note gets held extra long time, so it gets a double note value here. Now, the first two statements of this gesture are essentially identical. I maybe should make a little editorial adjustment here and extend this slur out a bit to make it clear that this last note should be included. Now, that second version where I use double tonguing is right here at the beginning of this line. I intentionally laid this out so every time this gesture appears is at the beginning of the line. Makes it easy to recognize. Here you see there's no curved line, and to indicate that this could be kind of dry sounding. These little dots, musical jargon, are called staccato, and that just means make these separate. And I didn't make any special indication about using double tonguing here. In fact, some people, if they can single tongue that fast, you're welcome to single tongue it. I don't care. But for myself, I made the personal decision I will double tongue this gesture, and you can choose whichever works best for you. All right, here is the third and final version of the gesture. And again, we have a slur to say we're not making special tonguing out of any of these notes, but then we have a little abbreviation up here, FT. And that's become kind of a standard English abbreviation for flutter tongue. In some other printed scores, you might see FZ, which is more of a reference to the German abbreviation, FZ, Flauterzug, instead of flutter tongue. And here, ORD period is an abbreviation for ordinary, and that just means go back to the ordinary way of playing. All right, so that's really all there is to the different notations of these three different versions of that gesture that keeps coming back and kind of holds Sunflower together. Now, I'm going to play through Sunflower in its entirety so that you can hear these tonguing changes in the context of the full song. On the Morning Star, Evening Star studio track, I played the song through twice. You see the optional repeat here at the bottom. I played it with some variations. And then I did the tag ending. For today, I'm only going to play through it once, and then I'll do the tag. I've already given you several options to hear the song in its entirety, if you wish to do so. Before we go today, a little while back, Sarah and I were visiting Colyn Petersen, who made this very flute that I play every video. Sarah is learning some flute making with him. Here's a little shot of her adjusting the tuning of the flute she was working on with one of Colyn's cats supervising. Anyway, in the car ride on the way back home, we listened to Tommy Pico read his poem, Nature Poem. This is one of my very, very favorite poems. It's the second in 4 book-length poems that have come to be known as the Thebes Tetralogy. You can read it for yourself in one sitting. You can listen to Tommy read it in less than an hour and a half. It was originally published in book form in 2017, and it is held up extremely well. I've read it from the book several times, but to hear Tommy Pico read it himself was really quite amazing. So it would really, it wouldn't do you any harm at all to have both the book version and the audiobook version, but please do yourself a favor and get at least one of them. All right, that is it for today. If you found this enjoyable and useful, please hit the like button. Maybe consider subscribing if you haven't already. And if you want those freebies, follow that link and join the email list, and you will get a code next month. All right, I'll see you next time.